Today we are on the Nehantic Trail, and behind me is a dam built in the 1930s by the Civilian Conservation Corps. Good morning and welcome to Outdoors with John. Today we are hiking the Nehantic Trail. Today's hike is a continuation of the earlier hike we took in July. It is now November and it's much colder. And we will be starting today on Break Neck Hill Raod and we'll be working our way down to the junction with the Pachaug Trail.
Today we are hiking the blue section labeled Nehantic 3. In part 1 we hiked the purple section, and in part 2 we hiked the green section. The gold part is where the Nehantic and Pachaug Trails share the same footpath. That section of the trail was covered in part 6 of the Pachaug Trail series. If you're interested in seeing a GPS track of today's hike, there is a link in the video description below.
Today's hike begins on one of the many old roads that are present here in Pachaug State Forest. This may have been an industrial area at one time, stream crossing. It's built up a little bit here, but there was definitely a rock bridge here. While the terrain here is easy to hike on, it's kind of historic, and I think that adds to the interest here within Pachaug State Forest. It's a brisk November morning. Temperatures are right around 34, 35. Pachaug State Forest was established with a 1,011 acre land purchase from the Briggs Manufacturing Company in Voluntown in 1928. In 1933, the first year the Civilian Conservation Corps began. As funding became available, the forest quickly grew, totaling 12,000 acres by 1937. At present, Pachaug covers 26,477 acres in 6 towns and is the largest Connecticut state forest. The trail brings us out to Lee Road and we take a right-hand turn here. From here we're going to be walking on the road for a little bit. Shortly after passing the farm we take a left turn off Lee Road onto the Blue Trail, which also happens to be the Enduro route. Almost as quickly as we join the Enduro route, it swiftly turns left hand here, and we continue straight on the Blue Trail, which is a Nehantic Trail. Unfortunately, this section of the forest here has suffered greatly from invasive bugs, beetles, etc. And the trees have really taken the brunt of it. The Forest Service has come in here and cut a large number of them down to prevent them from falling on people, and hopefully maybe encourage growth of new trees. We've hiked roughly 2 miles into our hike. We're at about 450 feet in elevation. Not really the top of any mountains, but this section of the trail doesn't get too high. In fact, the highest point may have been back there on Lee Road where the farm was. We're going to be heading downhill towards the junction of the Pachaug Trail before we turn back. So far, it's been a glorious morning on the trail. Started off a little chilly. It's warming up a bit, but not that much, which means it's still comfortable hiking. The trail has been well maintained here. I haven't had anything major to blowdowns or anything to deal with. And not a lot of water. I would say virtually no issues with water, even though there's been some rain this past week. What's interesting in this section of Pachaug is that there was a dam built, and it was built by the Civilian Conservation Corps probably in the early 1930s. Behind it's a swampy area, but you can see right here just past where the shelter branches off, we're starting to see the earthen mound here. We're going to take a quick side trip over here and just check it out. This earthen berm holds back an area of what looks to be some kind of, it might be a white cedar swamp, which is, I'm not a tree expert, but that's what this area is famous for. Well, there certainly is a lot of stones in this, using this dam to hold back the water here. Again, the Civilian Conservation Corps has a tremendous history in this park. In fact, the majority of this park was probably built by the Civilian Conservation Corps. Here we can see the dam with a small outlet. This brings us to the junction with the Pachaug Trail. To the left, although the sign doesn't indicate it, is both the Nehantic Trail and the Pachaug Trail.
We have just completed hiking the section of the Nehantic Trail shown as blue on this map. We are at the end illustrated with the checkered flag. From here, the Nehantic Trail continues south, first by sharing the footpath with the Pachaug Trail, illustrated here in gold, and then on its own to Hopeville Pond, illustrated here in green. On our way back, we'll explore Dry Reservoir Shelter, located just north of here.
If you're interested in hiking more of the Nehantic Pachaug trails, I have additional videos and playlists that you can go check out on the channel. I'll put a link here. The trail to the shelter is very short, pretty much up over a hill, probably to keep the shelter out of sight of the main trail. And you're a couple hundred feet and you're at the shelter. You can see we've arrived at the shelter here. There's a huge fire pit. Actually, there's 2 fire pits, plenty of logs to sit on, and accommodations for about 4 people, maybe 5 or 6. Reservations are required. They can be done online by filling out a form, but I believe you need to reserve the place 2 weeks in advance with the Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. One thing that's pretty cool about the shelters here in Pachaug is they generally come with a few utensils, cooking grates, some saws that might help you while you're staying here at the shelter. Well, that's going to wrap it up for today. Thanks for joining me on the Nehantic Trail.